What's going on, all you minties? This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, and join me today for an overview of the Animosity Omnibus from Aftershock Comics. So, please stay tuned. And welcome back, everybody. So, it's finally here, Animosity, the book that was supposed to come out early 2021, then the summer, and then October, and finally it came out in December. So, last month of the year, but at least it's out here. We also have an Animosity Evolution Omnibus, and I can do an overview of that whenever I get that in. But this is the story that kicked it all off. It's been available in trade paperback format. It's been available in standard size hardcover. It's been available as a year 1, year 2, with different dimensions on them. But this is the all-in-one omnibus. This does not contain any of the evolution stories, just the main Animosity and Animosity Tales one-shot. But it is labeled as an omnibus, but just to kind of give you an idea of the dimensions of this, here we have it next to a Marvel omnibus, so they are the same height. And as you can probably tell, this Animosity Omnibus does have a flat spine. And here we have a picture of Jessie, our main character, with her faithful companion, Sandor. And it is $125 retail price. So it's pretty pricey for the content that's going to be in here. But let's open this up. It does not contain a dust jacket. But let's look at this cover again. There you have Jessie and Sandor. And there you have the Animosity Omnibus, Marjorie Bennett, with Rafael de la Torre, the main creators on the book, Aftershock, and then the other creators in here, Elton Tomasi, Rob Schwager, and Marshall Dillon. So let's get this open and talk about the story and the premise. Alright, so let's get this open. We have some black end pages, and there we have Animosity, more credits from the creators, another stunning image here by De La Torre, who's the main artist on the book, as you can probably tell right here, supplying most of the artwork. You do have some fill-in art here from Ornella Savarese, and then Elton Tomasi, of course. The colorists are Rob Schwager and Juan Cho, and then Marco Lesco doing some of the Animosity Tales colors. And the letters, actually Marshall Dillon got top billing. That's awesome. I like to see letters get more respect and love. Taylor Esposito and Carlos Mangual. So, here's an introduction here by Christina Harrington, who I think is one of the editors at Aftershock, and then kicking it off with issue number 1. Now, I'm going to say something right here, and that is, if you are an animal lover, then this book is not for you. If you can't stand the sight of animals being harmed in any kind of way, this is not for you. I completely respect that, and that's why I like to tell people ahead of time. If you can't stand to see them in pain or being tortured or even killed, then this book is not for you. Just want to lay that out there. Now, this book did make it in my top 13 favorite horror comics of all time. I think I did that list in 2018 or maybe last year. But the premise is pretty simple. One day, there's this thing called the Wake, where all animals begin to think like humans. It's not just like they begin to think for themselves and become sentient beings, because they always have been. All animals are. But they think like humans. They start thinking of the food chain that they're in. So this is practically the way that this happens, and this does have mature content, by the way. So this is the day where it all happens. And our main focus is on Jessie, who's an 11-year-old girl, and her wonderful, loyal companion, Sandor, who is the family dog. Now, the day of the wake, a bunch of birds start attacking, and you start seeing some revenge type of plots from the animals come to fruition. And that's basically what happens. Like, a bunch of birds start attacking planes, going into the engines, and start killing humans, because a lot of them want revenge. Now, not all of them. As you can see, Sandor is very loyal to his human. But it is really interesting, the morality that plays into all of this later on. You start seeing animals that were mistreated come and get revenge. Like anybody that, all the animals that were in some kind of lab experiment, of course. Some animals that were in the farm. The one that I found really interesting is Bennett's take on pandas. Because they just start offing each other. And they're like, why'd you keep us alive for so long? Like, they just start committing suicide. I think that's a pretty interesting take on pandas. So there are some things like that in here that are kind of humorous, but for the most part, you are dealing with a post-apocalyptic world where this young girl is trying to get from New York all the way to California. And it is her journey with her dog. Now, I'm not going to tell you what happens to her parents, because her parents are there at the very beginning. You can find out all for yourself. But this is a long journey, and then going through just the different parts of America, meeting the different types of animals, the new laws that are instated, because some animals, it becomes very much like Animal Farm if you're a fan of that book. Some animals take a lot of human inspiration for the way that they want to rule this new world. I thought that was really interesting, and man, there's just this beautiful relationship. How could you not love this? Like, how could you not want to read it if you have a dog? Or it's just such an interesting premise to me. I fell in love with it immediately. We're not talking like animals start talking and dancing and singing like your Disney movies. We're talking about a ruthless post-apocalyptic world where you don't know who to trust. You don't know who is going to end up turning on you, whether it's animal or human. And then we meet some animals that are more human than any human was ever capable of being. I thought that was a really interesting way to portray, what is good with mankind. I love the part in Utah, without going into too much spoilers, because in Utah there's this understanding where humans and animals are working together on, a farm, building a better future. I thought that was a cool take because, like I mentioned, not every animal is out for revenge. It's just some. But this is what the artwork looks like for the most part. So it almost has this sketchy, cartoony style to it, but it really works for the book. I mean, whenever you're dealing with talking animals, you do want that almost cartoony look to it. But man, he can draw some brutality because there's a lot of violent scenes in here. Again, mature content. Now, remember when I said not every state is like that? What Marjorie Bennett does at the very end is she adds these little pages, these extras back here, and this explains what's going on in each state. So as they go across the country on this journey from New York to California, you get to see like what each state, how they're dealing with their animals, or what happened, who turned on who. Represent Kentucky. But every one of them is different. I love that. And then you get to see the rest of the world. You talk about world building. She does an amazing job of just throwing you in there in this, city of New York. And then once Jesse and Xandor get out, you start seeing how the rest of the world is reacting to this wake. And here's some more just breakdowns on the rest of the world. The only thing I wish they had kept are some of the sketches and some of the, they would put the animals in different categories. That's not back here. That was, I think, in year 1, the hardcover, and then the year 2 hardcover. And you do have just a little bit of a sketchbook, and then the cover process. Then, of course, about the creators. Now, this book has 668 pages. And, I mean, if you're not interested in the concept by now, then you probably stop watching the video. But I think that's all I really want to say about this, because the more you read it, going into it without knowing a lot, the more surprises and turns there are going to be for you. 668 pages, again, $125, so it's a little bit pricier than most hardcovers. Of course, it is labeled an omnibus, so we have seen omnis that are 440-something pages at $100. So maybe it's not that far off. Maybe it's not that expensive. Now, as far as the binding of this particular book, it is sewn binding, and we do have this eye right there. And the book lays over rather well, whether it's towards the front, where she's still with her family before she has to go and try to find her half-brother in California, and the back of the book. And this is from the Tales of Animosity. It's a one-shot that has very little to do with what's going on in the rest of this book. Now, like I mentioned, there is an evolution. It's another story that features some of the characters in here. I haven't read a single issue of that, so I'm very excited to read that. But this is one of my favorite horror reads, and I thought it was just a unique take on this post-apocalyptic world that doesn't feature zombies, but is equally just as creepy. And that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this book, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for brand new graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They pride themselves on packaging your books so they arrive safely and in excellent condition, as well as prompt and helpful service. Check out the bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. CGN is excited to announce that they are now taking pre-orders. They're making it easier for you to ensure that you don't miss out on the hottest releases. CGN is currently running a special promotion for you minties. If you're a first-time customer, let them know that you were referred by near mint condition at the checkout, and you'll receive a credit for free shipping on your next order. This promotion is valid for U.S. customers only. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount and quality shipping and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. That was the content, the page count, and build of this omnibus. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of this before, if you're gonna go into it blind, if you've got the first trade paperback, what you thought of the story in case you have read it. Was it for you or just not your thing? If you have any more questions, please leave your questions down below. Again, this was the Uncanny Omar. Thank you all so much for watching. Smash that like button. Ring that bell for notifications to let you know when our videos are going live. We are on Spreadshop and on Patreon. Amazing ways to support the channel if you can do so. And more importantly, all of you stay healthy, stay safe, and much love.